The movie starts by a lady running in desperation while a car follows her. The next day, the authorities discover her lifeless body, and they find out the identity of the victim in the car's ownership details, as the car belongs to the victim herself, a woman named Maggie Moore. In a flashback sequence, we are transported 10 days earlier, when Jay Moore and Tommy T arrive at Moore's Sandwich Shop, which is a Castle Cubs franchise. They are unloading a truck carrying expired food from Liberty Bell's food company. In addition to paying $20, Jay provided Tommy with a selection of pedophilic photographs. When Tommy requests the pictures, Jay realizes he has left them at home. He immediately rushes back to retrieve them, yet it is too late, given the fact that his wife has already discovered them. This triggers a heated argument between the couple, with his wife Maggie warning that she will contact the police if he doesn't leave the house immediately. Jay, who is forced out of his house, returns to the shop. He informs Tommy that Maggie has the pictures and warns him that she might go to the police. Tommy tells him that he knows a guy who can scare Maggie and take the photos back. Then Jay goes to Mr. Costco's house to offer him the job. Mr. Costco is deaf and speaks by writing on pieces of paper and then shredding them. Jay asks him to scare his wife so that she is convinced to give the photos back. After that, he goes to a store to buy some stuff. The cashier insists on getting the loyalty number, which he says she doesn't have. But he instead gives his wife's phone number, and it's here that he realizes there are two Maggie Moores in the town. The following day, Mr. Costco kills Maggie by burning her in her car. This makes her unidentifiable, and her identity is only determined by her car's serial number. Chief Sanders, the police chief, goes to Moore's house following the disclosure of the victim's identity. There, the neighbor Rita invites the chief over for dinner, and while talking, she provides more information regarding previous arguments between Jay and Maggie. Greg, the employee who works under Jay, requests the evening off for going to prom. However, Jay denies him permission to go. Chief Sanders arrives with bad news, announcing that the authorities have discovered the identity of the murdered woman. In the midst of the conversation, the chief takes notice of the products from Liberty Bell's food company. When he leaves, Jay contacts Tommy, expressing his anger at the murder of Maggie and explaining that he simply wanted to frighten her. Jay angrily throws his cell phone and shatters it. Sanders, suspected by seeing the Liberty Bell's products in the shop, calls Castle Cubs company to make sure of the company's policy about the franchises being obliged to buy only the products from Castle Cubs. Jay goes to the same store to buy the same stuff, where the same cashier talks about the crazy coincidence of registering two Maggie Moore in the system under the same phone number, and this gives Jay an idea that if he wants to get off the hook, he needs to have the other Maggie Moore killed, to confuse the police about the fact that actually they wanted to kill this Maggie Moore, but accidentally they got his wife. So he goes to the second Maggie Moore's house and takes a photo of her. Then he goes to Mr. Costco's and shows him the photo and asks him to kill her. This is actually the same woman we saw at the beginning of the movie, but this time with more details. The second Maggie is diabetic and carries her test kit with her. When Mr. Costco kills her, he takes her kit. In the meantime, Chief Sanders and Rita get close. Chief calls Rita at night and invites her out to have an ice cream. Rita tells him about his funeral in the morning and that a man with the Liberty Bell's truck came and talked with Jay in private. She also asks if Sanders knows a good mechanic. The next day, they call Tommy T to the police station, and Tommy confesses the expired food thing to the police. Also, the police is suspicious about the photos. Rita and Sanders go to the mechanic, and he recommends Rita to fix her passenger's airbag for $3,200, which she refuses. When they are at the mechanic, Sanders is called to go to the murder scene of the second Maggie. The cops interview the second victim's husband, Andy, who points the finger at a former co-worker of Maggie's known as Dwayne Rich. He claims that Dwayne has anti-Semitic views, which led him to repeatedly mistreat her in her workplace, ultimately leading to him getting fired. Dwayne acknowledges his guilt regarding his behavior towards Maggie and claims that he acted like that because he was an alcoholic and Maggie had rejected him. As Rita and Sanders continue their dating, they watch an interview featuring Andy's girlfriend where she reveals Andy's wish for his wife to die, and if the chance presented itself, he would wish for Dwayne Rich to commit the crime for him. This video is viewed by Jay as well, who is inspired to develop a new plan. So he goes for another visit to Mr. Costco's and presents a photograph of Dwayne, requesting him to eliminate him and make his death appear as a suicide. After Dwayne is killed, when the police goes to the crime scene, they find a lot of anti-Semitic evidence, including Nazi flags and Hitler's pictures. As the case continues to progress, the police obtain fresh data. The officers first realize that Tommy T has been arrested for attempting to pick up a minor online. Then they discovered that Maggie too was diabetic and carried her test kit all the time. Jay's employee Greg also sends them Jay's shattered phone anonymously. After reading Jay's text messages, they approach Tommy and he gives them Mr. Costco's name. When they go to Mr. Costco's house, we notice that he is not deaf and he was pretending the whole time. He denies being Mr. Costco, but they see Maggie 2's test kit in his house. A shootout takes place and one of the police officers dies. Mr. Costco, that thinks Jay reported him, escapes and goes to his house and kills him. Rita witnesses the shooting and tries to run away, but Mr. Costco catches her in her car and asks her to drive. Rita, knowing that her passenger seat's airbag is broken, hits the car with the maximum speed. Mr. Costco is dead and she is badly injured. At the end of the movie, we see her in the hospital with Sanders holding her hands.